Hey, how's it going, everybody? We've had a lot of videos coming out over the past couple of days in regards to stuff coming from the YouTube channel and Twitch and all that kind of stuff. But today's video is actually going to be candid. It's going to be a live video. Disregard the weird arm movements. I can't move this arm because it's all taped because of the new tattoo. But I hope you guys are enjoying the current RLCS Regional 3 going on for Europe at the moment. It's been pretty exciting. Trying to figure out who the heck's still going to the major. There's 8 spots left technically still at the point, but we've got a lot of stuff to talk about in the news-related side of things. Rumors coming out about Daniel and where he's going to go, and hopefully able to put some of those rumors to bed. A bunch of teams getting signed, a lot of roster changes moving around, and just ultimately some concerns coming into the major itself. People who can and can't attend due to visa issues and stuff like that. So with that said, a long intro, but a lot to cover today. How's it going, everybody? Lots of RLCS news to talk about today. We're going to rifle through these right away. But before we do, as always, if you guys enjoy the content, thumbs up, subscribe, notifications, and links to everything in the description down below. First things first, we're going to be talking about, obviously, Shift is everybody's kind of source for Rocket League Esports leaks and rumors about certain things. And according to Shifts and their sources, Daniel is set to join Rogue ahead of the RLCS 2021-2022 winter split, replacing Turinturo on the roster. That is the information that came out, and Shift usually has a pretty dang good track record. Usually when they get information and from their sources, they tend to be spot on. Things to consider, though, about these. There is a handful or less of kind of up-and-coming free agent talent. Daniel, at this point, is the most sought after. Aqua right now is a sub, what it sounds like, for Team Power. You've also got Oski, who's been playing out a lot with Team Liquid, which I'll talk about in a bit here. But again, Daniel's kind of the hot commodity that when the trade window opens December 13th, he's the one that's going to be picked up. And because of that, there's going to be a lot of moving parts. Not only is Daniel going to be scrimming and playing with a plethora of, teams that are looking to improve their roster, but ultimately it's going to come down to not only the offer, the organization, whether Daniel likes that org or not, whether the scrims go well, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's Daniel's decision. Out of all these teams that want me, which one feels the best? Which one do I think I'll have the most success with? And which one do I think is going to give me the best long-term support for my career? Based upon the things I've heard, based upon my own sources, Rogue is most definitely not the place that Daniel will be going. But again, because of all these moving parts, because of all these things that are happening, there is no guarantee for this. And to say that he is set on joining Rogue already, it may have been his initial thoughts, possibly. And I'm not trying to like discredit Shift, but I am saying from everything I've heard, Rogue is definitely not the place he's going. I'm not going to be the one to leak that information out of respect for the source that's telling me, but I can tell you from what I've been hearing, Rogue is not it. It's someone that may surprise you. So again, my biggest concern is here. Make sure you guys understand that when Shift puts this out, yes, there are sources and things that are telling them that, hey, these things are happening. But I hope everybody watching, specifically on this community, uses critical thinking to understand that, yes, it is a possibility without a doubt, but these other things can happen as well. So don't lock it in immediately. Don't be like automatically, nope, Daniel's going to Rogue. That is not the case. Understand that there is things that can change and shift, ironically, very, very quickly, depending on how things go. Sometimes these contract negotiations don't pan out. Sometimes there's a lot of moving parts that happen behind the scenes, and this is just one part of that process that Shift is reporting on. So just keep that in mind. Up next, Flying Dutchmen, Violent Panda, though, Oli, and Verge. Been looking for a new organization, have had a couple approach them, and finally, they have settled on one. We talked about this in a video about a week or so ago about potentials on who it may be, and it is officially confirmed. Heroic, welcome to the Heroic family, is tweeted. We're excited to announce that the Flying Dutchmen are officially a part of Heroic. We're ready to push the performance to the next level with this up-and-coming team. Give them a warm welcome. This was in the process, and we mentioned in that last video that things had been signed. They just hadn't announced it yet. They didn't get announced in time for Regional 2, but most definitely for Regional 3, which is happening obviously right now. The team will be flying the Heroic flag. So pretty cool to see. Glad to see the boys have found a new home. A lot of positive vibes and all the stuff that I've talked to Violent Panda about. Really happy with this team and things going on. The announcement video as well, which again, linked to the description down below to that actual video, is pretty cool. Instead of it just being highlights of the people playing, it actually has an interview being like, yep, these are the things we think and feel. And I think it's a much better way to do an announcement of getting the actual players talking rather than just be like, look at these highlights that you've seen in the RLCS. So I do like the different approach and I'm a big fan. So shout outs to Flying Dutchmen / Heroic now. They've got to have a really big performance. We're talking like top 4, top 2 minimum to be considered for the major. So best of luck to them this weekend. Up next, Flashes of Brilliance, the former 72 PC team, is making a change as well. They're saying goodbye to SeaBass. This is thank you for your time. Please wish him the best in his future endeavors. As of right now, the team is left without a third, which isn't the end of the world, simply considering they have a lot of time to determine what they want to do. Trade window isn't until the 13th, like I mentioned, of December, so we've got quite a while for them to kind of try and figure things out. But ultimately, the results have not been there for the team as well. Obviously, trying to push into the top 16, make it into the main event is always the focus, and they've been in the conversation. But again, going to need some major changes. Right now, it is Jacob and Spider holding it down. Still going to have to look for a third moving forward. Up next is actually some unfortunate news for one of the best representations for the MENA region. Sandrock Gaming, as many know, obviously, with the Ocalid situation, is kind of just to provide a little bit more evidence. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Sandrock did put out a tweet saying, yesterday we made history by qualifying for Rocket League Esports Fall Split Major in Sweden. In Stockholm, we're ecstatic and extremely proud of the boys and what they've accomplished, etc. But the big news is what was replied to that tweet saying that Senzo will be taking the place of Ocalid in Stockholm due to certain circumstance, which is unfortunate. You have a region that's been waiting 5 years for a moment to play international competition. It's finally here. It's on Psyonix's dime. We get to go compete in the RLCS. That's what all these players have been dreaming for. And unfortunately, one of the biggest names in the region doesn't get to do it. Obviously, Senzo used to be part of this roster before TRK came in. He ended up retiring, and then shortly after this gets announced for the new season, 6 million prize pool, Mina's involved. He comes back as a sub. And yes, it's cool that Senzo gets to go and play, but it sucks that it's in the place of Ocalid. It's really unfortunate that Ocalid doesn't now have that ability. And from what I've been hearing, what people are saying, it's due to exams. His school exams are going to be the Monday right after LAN, and there's no chance for him to get back with quarantine and everything else. So unfortunately for him, he's not able to attend. Really sucks. It's a really terrible situation, but when you've got a young player base and school and stuff like that is gonna get in the way sometimes. So it's unfortunate to see, but I do wish Senzo and the rest of the team the best of luck in representing and trying to do Ocalid proud. Up next, we're talking about Solary, another team that hasn't had the best results. They are saying thank you to Virtuoso. After the recent poor performances for Solary, the trio decided to go their separate ways to think bigger. Kasai and Parka will form a new trio for the next RLCS qualifier. So it does look like Parka and Kasai are still under that same duo, and they're going to be looking for a new third. There is some teams, obviously, in Europe that are looking for a replacement as well, and whether Virtuoso and his demos are going to be the option or not, we'll have to wait and see. Up next, let's mention Team Liquid earlier trying out a player. One of those players that they were trying out was Fergum, whatever you want to say. And clearly Team Liquid still continues to be unsuccessful. Because of this, and it not being the answer, they do decide to release Fergum in the tryout process. He is now LFT and puts out a tweet stating so that he's looking for a team. Love appreciated. I will say on the other side of that, they have been trying out Oski again. If you guys don't know Oski, very young, talented player at the age of 14, will turn 15 in February, which kind of defeats the purpose. Team Liquid again would be throwing away an entire season. He's not able to play in the fall. He's not able to play in the winter. So if you add him in the spring, I don't care how well you do, even if you win everything, the chances of you making the World Championship are pretty much negligible. And at the end of the day, that's what people are playing for, to go to the World Championship. So it would be weird for Team Liquid to put their team basically on pause for 2 years of RLCS before they find a roster that can actually compete against some of the best to make top 8. So it feels kind of weird that they are continuing to play Oski and banking on that, but ultimately, I just don't know who else they go with. Like I said, Virtuoso's available. Maybe they try that out in the meantime, but Team Liquid still got to find a new player, and Oski cannot be it. Up next, we recently had obviously the tiebreaker to see who went to the major between Complexity and Space Station Gaming. And Space Station's coach, who doesn't tweet too much, and good buddy, shoutouts to Chrome, says changes will be made as we go into the next split. A lot of catching up to do in points for the World Championship. See you guys next split. A lot of people may be overlooking this one or looking too much into it. What those changes may be, and this is just kind of the theory crafting that I have in my head. Number one, the first thing that comes to everybody's mind is roster changes. That could or could not be the solution. The next one could just be that, hey, we need to refocus. We need to change our play style. Obviously, their play style has been scrutinized by others, saying that it's boring. but it's effective. Maybe that effectiveness isn't the case anymore. Maybe they do need to change it up. What change alludes to isn't specific, and I think that's done with purpose because obviously Chrome isn't trying to get himself in trouble. But changes happening, what that means specifically, we'll have to wait and see. I have talked to Chrome about this. I am not going to be the one that tells you, but again, what is happening with SSG, this is just a prime example. This is a team that barely missed out on going to the major. They lost out by one game, and they're already having these conversations. That is the kind of seriousness, the kind of pressure, the kind of scrutiny, if you want to call it, that these players and these coaches are under. Every single regional matters, every single major matters, every single match. The ability to make sure that you do not fall behind in a very snowball-heavy type system is really important. So I actually appreciate that they're addressing this kind of stuff early, saying something needs to change, because if we're left out of top 5, we're screwed. So I like that he's addressing it directly, and that focus and that mentality is there, because that will hopefully allow them to bounce back again for the next regional. So they've got a little bit of time to think and wait about it. Again, stuff doesn't start until January 14th. They are a top 8 team, so they will be automatically given a spot in the main event out of the top 16. Up next, and this one is just super wholesome. If you guys don't know, the Renegades situation with CJ, Fever, and Kami. Kami is from New Zealand, and New Zealand is obviously under lockdown and has a really tough situation when it comes to traveling internationally, as they have qualified for Sweden. He put out a tweet saying, just secured an MIQ room, see you in Sweden, which is amazing. For those that don't know what that means or don't know the scenario, Yummy Cheeseman actually ended up leaving a comment on Reddit that describes it perfectly. He said, quote, New Zealand have strict rules requiring people to do 2 weeks of hotel quarantine to re-enter the country, as it's still locked down until they get 90% vaccination coverage. So even though Kami would be able to leave, upon coming back, there is very strict rules that allow him to do this or not, and that's what he's tweeting. He has secured a hotel room or a room, so when he comes back from Sweden, he has the ability to quarantine and then go back to his everyday life. The reason why this is a big deal is because of what Yummy says next. There are 4,000 slots available and over 40,000 people apply each time. He, quote, binked. He secured a spot at number 880. If he hadn't, he would not have been allowed to go. No exceptions. There are famous UFC fighters, Rainbow Six players, etc. We're all stuck overseas trying to win the lottery while Kami gets in first time. For those that don't know what it means by the lottery, it is completely random. A bunch of people sign up. They draw names at random. It is truly like winning the lottery. It's all RNG, and Kami gets it his first snag. That's awesome. It's so good to see, because the contrast of this, and this is not me throwing shade, is they don't have the sub to go with and play. They'd be playing with their coach, who's Diamond. Not the best look for OCE's representation. So they are very happy that they get to go play full strength. CJ's first LAN in 3 years. It's just awesome to see that we are going to get to see the full-fledged, full-strength Renegades competing. I swear to God, if we have another overtime goal, Renegades, please come up and represent. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys compete on the stage. Last but certainly not least, speaking of other regions, we've got 1NE that is bidding farewell to Chaotic. We wish him good luck in his future endeavors and thank him for his time with 1NE RL, which I think is pretty interesting. 1NE has not been a bad team, and results-wise, they've been actually doing pretty dang well. If you look at the rankings for APAC South, 1NE right now is sitting in 3rd place. Again, not good enough to guarantee to be at that top, but they're consistently 200 points, 200 points, 200 points, which is top 4 every single time. So while it may not be good enough to make it and qualify and go to wildcards and the championships and stuff like that, you're still within striking range to compete against the other guys. So it is surprising that rather than building upon what they have and moving forward, they decide to let this go and are looking for another player. Maybe it's internal stuff. Maybe it's something else going on. Maybe they just think, you know what, we better remedy this situation before it's too late. But 1NE getting rid of one of their players already. Pretty surprising, despite the top 3 finishes and the top 4 finishes. So again, it's cutthroat out there. A lot of people fighting to make those spots, especially in these other regions. That is going to do it for your Rocket League news. Hopefully you guys took the time to enjoy and watch this in the middle of the chaos that is the regionals that are going on for Europe right now. But if you guys do have any additional questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the comments down below. Links to everything I'm talking about as well in the description. But that is going to go wrap it up for this. Speaking of wrapping it up, I'm going to go unwrap my wrist and my sleeve, half sleeve, whatever you want to call it, because I need to clean it, and it's been stuck in tape for 2 days now. It's very annoying. But with that said, if you guys do enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. I'll see you guys for Q&A tomorrow. Peace.